address. Let's give a big round of applause and welcome him.
Good morning, everyone. And it's a real pleasure to be here. Firstly, I think I congratulate Ashish, our inspiration, Embark and Nepal. And it's been a very interesting journey for my career, and Nepal has a special place, and I'll tell you why. My first foreign trip was to Nepal. My first assignment to handle a country was Nepal. And I had the opportunity to turn around the Nepal operations for IMS Health, which was which is still a world leading organization for Nepal, so I got my recognition professionally. Now, having said that, I'm trying to cover a few topics, but before I go, a very interesting way you have planned it, and Professor Achyut, I really like the way you put it about academia. I also wrote the education policy of India. And there are few data I'll give you before I jump into mine. And I did this relation. Education and economy are directly related. I wrote that in my book. So at that time, I did 3 comparisons. India had 10,000 PhDs a year, 3 innovation hubs, and $3.75 trillion economy. China had 30,000 PhDs, 17 innovation hubs, $15 trillion economy. United States had 50,000 PhDs a year, 27 innovation hubs, and $21 trillion economy. Direct relation, and the innovation hubs were actually all in academia, institutes of higher education. So it is something that we have to build if you're looking at doing something interesting for Nepal in terms of economy. I'm going to cover important topic as I was introduced about being a policymaker and who looks at long-term vision. So I have something that I'll share with you, which is the topic of my presentation, and thanks Ashish for giving me that opportunity yesterday night to put up a few slides. So we all should understand for the events that you have been watching that the world is not changing, it's churning. I can also tell you one thing, that what we do today, each one of us, no matter where we stand, we would do none of that by 2030. It's not about decade, it is within this decade. That's the urgency. So that being said, we should be clear. So yesterday we were also having a talk on AI over the dinner. So I have a research in AI, so I have put a slide on AI, how it will impact you directly. And lastly, I think as a person who worked on writing policies for India, I also track what we do worldwide or what the world moves. I personally believe that if our neighbors are happy and developed, we as a nation, India, would be happy. So I think it's very important for us, for our neighbors to get developed. And Ashish and I keep talking. I think it's been over a decade we have been talking. And I really like his thought process. And lastly, before I jump into my slide, I think one thing that I will always vouch for, the most responsible generation of our times is Gen Z. And I have written a lot of things about that on our blog, that if we can't achieve something with Gen Z, we can never achieve that. So with that, I will get to my slide. So I had an opportunity to write 3 policies for my country: health, education, and Viksit Bharat, which is now a flagship program of the Government of India, the Developed India Mission. So what does a developed Nepal mean? And I put this deliberately of Viksit Nepal by 2050 because we should have a goal. I think Ashish said that very clearly, that you have to, and very well-timed forum, I think. If you don't have a goal, you're not going anywhere. And time is of essence, which I'll talk in the further slides. And also for that, you just don't need growth. It has to be a distributed growth model. So I'm not going to dwell in detail about each. I'm just going to put it before you that these are the things that we will have to do in terms of what a distributed growth would mean. And I would say we need to think out not about GDP, but GDP per capita. Do not confuse 2 terms. Otherwise, we'll be like oil producing nations, very high GDP, but only confined to 5 families that produce oil or own that oil fields. So we need to think about GDP per capita. so that there is a distributed growth, not accumulated growth. I think I mentioned in detail in this book, which became the genesis of Developed India Mission, Tough Choices and Hard Decisions, Making India a Developed Country in 25 years. It was written 6 years ago. It was written 6 years ago. So Nepal is at a historic inflection point. I think these are data that you know, so I'm going to just move this to the next. But one thing is very important. Like I said, for India that we have to become a developed country by 2047, it was not just simply because we would have 100 years of independence. I had done enough of research on that. And the same applies to you, because none of the countries which are today LMICs or LICs, they will become developed by virtue of time. They will have to use their demographic opportunity. I don't call it demographic dividend, because in the next 30 years, what will change is one figure, median age. None of you would be the age you are in. By the time you hit 2050, 1 out of 5 probably would be a senior citizen, and in that case, we would have lost a golden opportunity to become a developed country. So I think time is of essence, and for that planning is also essence. Today per capita income is 1500, and I think if you look at the World Bank's assessment of what the income countries are divided in, I think it's 1185 for low income country if you are below 1185. If you are between 1186 and 4685, you are a lower middle income country. So at 1500, you know where we stand. And with the new dollar and the currency, I'm not sure where we go. The upper middle income country is 4686 to 1460, and above 1461, 14,631 is a higher income country. This is the classification of how the world is classified. India, Nepal, all the countries in this region would fall under lower income countries. That too, we are in the lower or middle rung. We are nowhere close to crossing that 4,600. So I think we'll have to work very clearly with the plan and work hard to make a transition to a developed country, for which we have no choice. Can anyone tell me which is this place? Yes, if you got the name of the village right. I was in a meeting where this village was shown, and this is New Singapore. I had a chance to interact with the current president of Singapore. That time he was vice premier, and while interacting I said that you have shown a great presentation. What was one thing that made your country change from a village, fishing village, to a first world nation? He said it was education, and that is what sparked in me that if I have to write my policies for the country, we'll prioritize education. That's why, education policy came in. I had another chance to visit Medellin when I was going. Typically in my earlier years, I would post on Facebook traveling to Medellin, Colombia. I got a lot of messages saying, this is the most dangerous place on earth to go, do not go. But there was a hidden story on Colombia. It beat New York and Israel to be the most innovative city in the world. And while I was there, day one, the host took me around and showed me Colombia, Medellin. So I asked him, what changed Medellin to become a most innovative city, beating New York and Israel? He said, we set up libraries on the stations, which I saw. And once they bought metro, I'm not recommending you get metro. When metro came in, people knew that it will come at a particular time and leave at a particular time. People understood the value of time. But there would be more things too, but these are the two things that stuck to me in my head. And I really like the way you started the forum on time. I hope I don't cross my time. How many of you know the meaning of General Metal Stand? Ashish and I have been talking, so he can speak. Anyone who knows that? You know. It is actually SME. The right meaning is small and medium enterprises. I've been a big fan. I wrote an article almost 11 years back that as India, we should not partner with any of the leading world countries, but only with Germany. And why this is important for you, I'll give you hard numbers. More than 99% of firms in Germany are SMEs. In 95% of Germany's are family owned. That's very important. Just look at the employment they provide, even trainees. 1,300 of them are world market leaders. So it is not that SMEs can be just treated, they are actually your engines of growth, distributed growth model. And I will also say one more thing, that Germany is the only country when 2008 recession happened, they almost were left untouched. It was thanks to SMEs. I mean, the world got hammered, but Germany was not so badly. Lessons from Singapore, I would just be quick to run. So you always see who contributes what. Of course, education was one, leadership was there, but then they knew the engine of growth, from a fishing village to a first world country. And I'm giving you examples of the countries that have made it happen. You can look at Vietnam. So because you need to have examples, I'm not saying you cut, copy, paste, because you would falter dangerously. But there are lessons that we have to learn from these countries. Look at their GDP when they started, look where they are today. I had a chance to be associated with the chief advisor of Bangladesh, Professor Mohammed Yunus, who's a Nobel laureate, believes in SMEs and microfinancing. And this is a very interesting example. It's called a miracle economy. Of course, it got hammered recently, but otherwise, Bangladesh is an economy for all of us to learn. Korea. I think you should look at, when you plan for Nepal to become a developed economy, how do countries move from the third world to the first world? What do they focus on? So for Viksit Nepal, if we were to look at that, the GDP per capita has to grow 10x. Sustained growth of double digits. And it's doable. I think Professor Achyut said that money is not a problem. I firmly believe in that. In my books that I have written on economy, I have always said mindset is the biggest problem, not the money. And of course, it has to be SME-led. If you do anything, your GDP will grow, but not GDP per capita. So you will become a nation which will become the fastest growing economy. Few industrialists will do well. But there's a speech I gave in UN, in the Internet Governance Forum, that world has to choose between small number of large companies or large number of small companies. If you choose large number of small companies, you would benefit. So again, it is the indigenous model of development that you have to focus. There is no cut, copy, paste anywhere in the world. You can look at everyone, but you have to develop your own. And I think this particular slide, it needs a full one-day discussion or more probably, which I'll leave Ashish to do. But I think there are a couple of things that you have to focus on. And of course, women-led enterprise. I think Bangladesh is a great success story. Youth, and skill and capital and digital access. It's always a challenge. We are seeing the energy crisis. Last, I think, more than a month and a half, what has happened, we have seen. Energy is going to be super important. All of us as countries have to become energy self-sufficient. We can't be waiting on, the oil coming from other countries over time. So energy, education, enterprise, environment. If you're able to address this, you will address all the rest. I know I deliberately didn't put health, but if you started focusing on them, they are the denominators. The other things will be denominators. But you have to focus on that if you want to become developed. How many of you don't use ChatGPT? Can you raise hands? One. Thank you. Thank you for being honest about it. So this is my original work. Instead of taking photos, if you understand this a little better, I have a full paper that is getting released in a week. I have just put a very high level, mindful of the time. There are 5 levels of AI. Can anyone tell which are the 5 levels? This is the original work, will be hard for you to find. This is the original nomenclature. You will not be able to get, and I am also put what AI is going to do to each one of you. None of you will be doing what you do today in the next 4 years, that I can assure you. The first level is conversational AI, the chatbots that you use. I was reading a very interesting cover story of what you call friendship with machines, silence with humans. This is today's Kathmandu Post front page. We are speaking 338 words lesser than when we used to speak. We are more comfortable talking to machines than humans, sadly. I think given that kind of context, conversational AI, chatbot, I gave it the name of Talkers. It's an AI that talks. what it will displace or impact highly. When I say impact, I have not put, the paper has the details which will be out, I think in a week's time. It is a 20-page paper on what AI will do to each one of us. It will displace or replace human communication. The second one is thinkers. AI is now thinking better than humans. I've been building AI, so this is my original research. I gave it the name of thinkers, AI that thinks. And what it will replace? Sadly, human judgment. You will have that change. We are actually in this. It has taken 56 years, 60 years to be where AI is at this level. But the third level is autonomous AI, where it can do things for you. Last year, I helped build a solution with Ali Parsa, who is a billionaire doer. He built companies at scale. We built a solution, and I gave it the name of doers. What it changes is very interesting. Human execution. I've been simplifying for one slide because yesterday evening we were discussing over dinner, so I said I'll just put one slide on this. This is the one I'm most excited about, innovative AI. In the paper that you will see, there are timelines for each, and the timeline ends at 2030. It can innovate. You will have nothing what you do today existing. Big companies will have a challenge of their time that they build, and I think there are decent examples on that. We have a course that we have created only for senior leaders on implementing these 5 levels. I call them innovator. What will replace is very interesting, human imagination. Can you imagine that? AI imagining and creating things. This is the 4th level. And the 5th level is organizational AI, where organization can be run by just AI system, not by humans. In my organization today, I am standing here, we have more digital employees than human employees. My IT head went on leave. We created a system that will execute the command in his absence. This is doable. It's being done. We are doing it, so I'm presenting. This is my work. This is leaders. And what will replace? Human leadership. So think about what AI will do to you. And this is a message I gave a few years back at our global summit. This is not the age of competition. This is the age of creation. I think all of you will have to create to enjoy what you want to do. I will thank you. I hope I didn't exceed the time. If I did, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gupta, for that insightful and thought-provoking address. As a gesture of gratitude, may I now invite Professor Dr. Stephen Driver, Honorary Principal of Embark College, Associate Pro Vice Chancellor at University of Roehampton, to present a token of appreciation to our esteemed speaker. Thank you so much one more time. So ladies and gentlemen, as we move forward, it becomes clear that meaningful SME growth is not driven by isolated efforts, but how well policy, institutions, and industry align. With that